Because the question would be, well, does she need to subpoena the whoever did the evaluation?
Usually there's an order when the evaluation is done. It's on, I think, Form FL 327, which is the psychological evaluation order. And there may be some things attached to that which are not standard. I try and put in there and make it very explicit that the report comes into evidence subject to cross-examination. But in some courts, that order is not in there. And yes, you would have to call the doctor to come testify. And of course, the major problem with that is they don't want to come, and they're going to charge a lot of money to show up in court to testify. And so that's kind of a problem. I'd rather have the report come in from day one. And then, if the doctor got something wrong, the doctor says, parent one said, da, 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 and I believe that parent. And then you've got evidence to show that they're a dead on liar, and the judge believes your evidence. Well, then you can use that to attack that portion of the doctor's psychological evaluation. Usually these psychological evaluations are, fairly lengthy, over 30 pages. And so they cover a lot of issues. And, if one little issue makes the difference, well, then you present evidence regarding that one little issue. But a lot of times one little issue is not going to change the bigger flavor for this psychological evaluation, and isn't going to change the court's mind on what to do on things. It just depends on the case.
Seems like she says it was in her favor. Everything's been in her favor, it sounds like, these false allegations by the dad.
I don't know what that means.
In her favor?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a report that is one-sided. I mean, usually it has good things and bad things to say about both parents, but
yeah,
it just depends. I mean, these things are complicated. I mean, the court wouldn't have sent them to a psych eval if it was easy. Again, we don't see these psych evals in very many cases. And it may have been a psych eval for just one little issue. Like, let's take a look and see if mom does have some kind of psychiatric problems, in which case, if that's all they're looking at is the one issue, and then the psychologist contacted her therapist or whatever and was satisfied that she's not a threat to the child, then it's a real simple report.
She says, I reviewed my psych eval and it's entered into evidence. Ours is 148 pages. I've never seen an eval that long.
I have.
And there are multiple mentions of dad interfering with my relationship with our daughter. So that's in your favor. He's often referred to as being a gatekeeper. Yeah, you asked, what are your chances of winning? And that's, like Chris says, it's impossible for us to answer. But, she says they already had their TRC. So you know what the rules are when it comes to, hopefully you've seen the videos of what the judge is going to be considering when it comes to custody.
But the psych eval, I would definitely go back and read the order appointing the psych eval, because it more than likely it's going to spell out in there whether or not the report comes into evidence without him being there. If not, you may have to call the psych evaluator as a witness, and I have no idea what county you're in, and I have no idea what that's going to cost. And there's probably a fee agreement that you signed along the way that's going to spell that out, or you're going to need to talk to the evaluator to say, what's it going to cost for you to be there? If he needs, he or she, the psychologist needs $100,000 to be there, and you don't have $10, well, that's going to be a problem. If they only need $1,000 to be there and you can afford to do that, then I would do it if you can. But, at some point you got to ask yourself whether it's worth it. And $1,000 to bring in the evaluator, I think, is worth it. When you start talking about $10,000 or $20,000, there's so many other things you can do with that money, including paying for the kid's college education, or a part of it anyways, because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot to think about in terms of how old is the child, and especially if they're living on opposite sides of the country and you're paying for flights. That would be another expense. Yeah, a lot to think about.